Every year, Americans waste about 96 billion pounds of food. That adds up to 275 pounds per person, or between a quarter and a half of our entire food supply. At the same time, 35 million people, or 10% of our population, suffer from hunger each day.
What's startling is the face of hunger. Because if you had to pick, who would it be? And invariably, somebody will say, it's a child, it's not a kid. And someone will say it's a senior, but surprisingly, it's not a senior either, even though there's probably more hungry seniors than there are children. The face of hunger is a working mom. It's a single mom, 2 kids, who is basically doing without so her kids can eat.
I wanted to find out if anyone had solutions to these shocking statistics, so I went to the nation's capital.
My name is Robert Egger, and you're in the basement of the biggest shelter in America, for better or worse, at the DC Central Kitchen, a program that for almost 20 years now has been recycling almost on a daily basis, 24/7, 365, food that would have been thrown away.
Everything in here that you see in one shape or form had been donated.
The day that the kitchen opened was George Bush Sr.'s inauguration. There was an urban myth that you can't, the health department won't let you use food left over. And it was pervasive. So, and I knew there was laws that actually facilitated the donation of food, but I knew that I had 2 roads. It was either going to be the long road of knocking on doors saying, here's the law, here's the law, here's the law, or I could do something. So I just called the Republican National Committee. George Bush was being elected. He's talking about 1,000 points of light. So I just called up, hey, you're going to have these big parties. You're kind of trying to buck the image of the kind of Reagan era as, you know, the uncaring Republicans. Let's do business. And they were thrilled. So the first donor of food was George Bush.
But solving the hunger problem in America is not that simple.
Day one of the kitchen, even though my system was innovative, my understanding of hunger was not. And on day one, what I had is the phone, more calls from people saying, my older mother has to choose between heating oil and food. Can you feed her? My kid's in an after-school program, and there's no food, and I don't get home till 6. And it was like, you know, all of a sudden, my image of hunger which was kind of confined to homelessness, all of a sudden on day one, bang, it all blew up. People had a real serious barrier against the notion of training the homeless. They were mistaking, I think, men and women they saw in the streets of Washington with all homelessness. My father's generation sees men and women on the street who are alcoholics, and he thinks, what a bump, get a job, you know. And he doesn't understand oftentimes people on the street are self-medicating. You know, they're trying to literally drink or drug away a deep hurt, whether it's a, you know, a variety of different issues. When we first started the kitchen, again, the idea was who's at the bottom. You know, our was we're going to help whoever's at the bottom, the furthest down. So when I started the kitchen, it was heroin, alcohol. Then came crack. Then it came welfare reform in the 1990s, so it was women who had kids who were coming out of welfare. Now it's felons.
Yeah. You know who this is? World premiere. Yeah. Yeah.
We call it rigorous training boot camp because it's 12 weeks.
We have a job training program.
Whereas we try to
teach unemployed men and women
who have been displaced, either from substance abuse or been incarcerated or
women coming off welfare, a variety of different demographics. Basically how to cook.
It's a lot of information that if they don't use it at that moment, they'll have it on the shelf to pull down whenever they need it.
You know, I'll give you an example, man. What's interesting, I know Bo as Bo. There's somebody who knows Bo as somebody who was involved in a murder, took a loved one away. will that person ever forgive Bo? Will that person ever see Bo like I see Bo?
I was a gangster, you know, that's what I was. That's what I always wanted to be, to walk around with shoulder holsters on, which I used to do, one on this side, one on this side, and dress up, looking like a businessman all along. I'm the biggest criminal in town probably, but that's what I wanted to do.
Bo came across the DC Central Kitchen in 2003.
It was the best thing that could have happened to me at that time, because had I not been employed here, I'm really feeling, and even to this day, strongly that I wouldn't have had nothing coming, because I had no resume. What I'm gonna put down there, ex-bank robber.
You know, all I did was come along, I get too much credit, man. All I did was come along and say, man, if you take this food you were throwing away, and these people you were underutilizing, and these great students, and that kitchen that was just sitting there, you know, and those agencies that were buying food when they really wanted to use their money to focus on liberating people, take that, put this here, and put that there, and shake it up and turn it around. Look what it does.
7 days a week, 365 days a year, DC Central Kitchen picks up 2 tons of donated food and prepares 3,000 meals daily. But Egger says it's not a long-term solution to America's hunger problem.
This is my nightclub. This is a show. I know it works, and I'm going to use it for what it is. You know, I don't want to get lost in the trap of, if I have a bigger one, I can feed more people. I can never feed all the poor. You know, that's a fool's errand. This is today. You know, the future is no kitchens, and that's what we've got to be working towards.